session. Tonight we'll solicit feedback from our residents regarding our $796,700,000 214 general fund budget, which has been proposed by the Mayor of Columbus. This budget increases our city's commitment to the fiscal responsibility by accelerating the replenishment of our rainy day fund. It also is going to restore some of the service cuts, especially to recreation and parks. It steps up our fight against neighborhood blight by increasing and refocusing on code enforcement throughout the code enforcement officers. It's about a $600,000 investment in two teams of 4 code enforcement officers. It also focuses on our commitment to our children with about a $7.5 million in education. And it also invests in the arts, human services, and Experience Columbus. We have had budget hearings from the administration, a revenue review from our esteemed city auditor, Mr. Dorian, and each of our council members have conducted hearings to correspond with their respective committees that they chair. We value the importance of citizen involvement in our decision-making process as a body. And this hearing is a reflection of that ongoing commitment. Your testimony will be part of our overall deliberation process. Each of our departments are represented this evening to clarify any issues or concerns that anyone who may be here or has regarding this proposed 2014 budget. This hearing is being recorded for rebroadcast on Columbus CTV, and the scheduled airtimes can be found at www.columbus.ctv.gov. Before I start, I want to recognize my council members who are joining us tonight for this hearing, Councilmember Eileen Paley and Councilmember Herschel Craig. Thank you for being at this hearing. As part of the legislative authority and chief making body for the city, this council is empowered by the charter to adopt the annual operating and capital budgets for the city. As a body, this council remains committed to sustained economic development by fighting for every job, improving safety operations, and strengthening Columbus neighborhoods. Our goal is to pass a budget which reflects the interests and long-term strategic needs of our entire community. So I want to thank each of you for being here this evening, and I want to thank the administration, and especially want to thank our finance director, Paul Rakowski, for the fine job that he has done in putting this budget together, working with each of the directors as well as the mayor. And so with that, I am going to open the floor for public comment. Each person who comes to the podium, please share your name. You have 3 minutes to speak on this budget, and say if you're for this budget or not. You can share that too. So with that, I'm going to start, and our first speaker will be Leanna Barbeau. Good evening.
I am Liana Barbu, Operations Director for the Community Shelter Board. Michelle Heritage wishes that she could be here tonight, but she is performing with the Harmony Project. Over the last 3 years, our shelters have served 14% more single men and women and 65% more families. When we have this kind of demand, it means people are sleeping on the streets and in abandoned buildings. It means women are waiting up to 2 weeks to get a shelter bed. Thanks to you, we expanded shelter capacities in July to meet this demand, but we can't sustain this expansion. After 2 years of community planning, we are ready to implement a new crisis response system. The hotline operated by Hands On Central Ohio will be enhanced with a greater focus on helping people find an option other than a shelter bed if possible. We will use a new approach to case management with positions called navigators, who link with the person when they enter the homeless system and work with them throughout their stay. Navigators will also work with people after their house to provide support to maintain housing. And a new building has been purchased thanks to your support. It will be renovated to provide new shelter beds, overflow space with flexible capacity, a replacement site for Rebecca's Place, and overflow space for families to relieve overcrowding at the family center. Eliminating wait lists for people who need shelter marks a dramatic change for our community. We can feel good about making sure everyone who needs a shelter bed is able to get it. But at the same time, we have to assure the right services are available to get people out of shelter and into housing. If we just shelter people and don't invest in services, we will end up building more and more shelters because people will get stuck in the safety net. Services are what move people out of homelessness and into stable housing. Homelessness should be a temporary problem, not a lifelong condition. Our budget request includes funds towards the services and operations of the new system. We made a similar funding request to Franklin County, and they are including it in their 2014 budget. I would like to thank Erica Clark-Jones, Kathy Owens, Keisha Hanley-Jenkins, Christy Angel, and Kim Stans for working closely with us over the last 2 years during the design and planning process of this new model. Thank you for your support for transformational, groundbreaking change to a system that serves the most vulnerable citizens of Columbus. Thank you.
Thank you for coming down this evening, and we certainly are pleased to be able to have the overflow space for individuals in our communities who presently do not have homes, and certainly do understand the new model of the navigators and how important having services for those individuals who are homeless to be able to utilize in our communities. So thank you for coming down. Any questions from my council members? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Before I have the next speaker come up, I want to recognize Boy Scout Troop number 474 from Clintonville. They're upstairs. Welcome. We're glad to have you here to be able to see our public process and to hear all the testimony this evening. And they are earning their communications merit badge by coming here this evening. So welcome to. The next speaker will be Linda Logan, and after Linda will be Brian Ross, and then Tom Katzenmeyer. Good evening, Linda.
Thank you for having us here today. A year ago, we stood here and talked about the momentum that our great city has as a destination with Experience Columbus, and happy to report that 2013 is even stronger. We are happy with all the bids and bookings and new events in the pipeline. Just last week, we got some great news from the NCAA that we were awarded 9 events, one of the highest numbers in the country. So we're really excited about that opportunity to host student athletes for the next 4 years and beyond. It's been a great year for hosting events. As you know, we are all very proud to host the U.S.-Mexico game and the President's Cup, so 2 great international events that gave us a great opportunity to shine throughout the world. And just 2 of our big groups have decided to come back. USA Volleyball, that was here in 2012, they're coming back in 2015, as well as USA Fencing coming back in 2014. So it seems that we're on a roll. We've got a lot of programming that's very strong for our girls and women in sports as well. We are going to host, of those NCAA bids, the big one is the NCAA Volleyball Championships for 2016, where we'll probably have 14,000 people here. The Final Four of women's volleyball is very exciting. We're also in the midst of bidding on the women's Final Four. Councilmember Klein will be joining us in Indianapolis tomorrow as part of our advanced team to be answering a lot of questions for women's basketball. With that, Ohio Dominican was recently awarded some basketball as well, so we're excited to showcase women's basketball on all 3 levels, Division 1, 2, and 3. Again, the increased support that you've given us and Experience Columbus has allowed us to add sales staff that have made a big difference, more boots on the ground. Our room night totals are up over 20%, as well as the private dollars raised are up significantly as well, almost 23%. So both at the turnstiles, in the hotels, and also in our pocketbooks, great public-private dollars are coming our way. So again, we just want to thank you for all the commitment that you've made to us and Destination Columbus. And I think next up is Brian Ross. Unless you have any questions for me.
I don't have any questions. Councilman Paley.
Just want to thank you for all your hard work, Linda. Not only are you all out there all the time for the Sports Commission, but to me it's really important that we have a woman leader for the Sports Commission. What a great representative for the city of Columbus, and thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
Again, thank you, Linda, for coming down, and certainly excited about all the events that happened in 2013, but looking forward to all these future events. And we certainly know that the reason why I think the city is investing very much so into to the Sports Commission and to Experience Columbus is because we absolutely know that when you bring these events to our city, we all win, especially the human service agencies, GCAC, but the entire community wins. And so just thank you for the effort that your organization and Experience Columbus is doing to ensure that we have these wonderful events in our city and keep making Columbus shine. Thank you for coming down and testifying this evening.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Brian Ross. Good evening.
Good evening. It's tough to follow Linda, but good evening, Council Members Tyson, Paley, and Craig. We want to say thank you. It's an exciting time right now in our city. And Experience Columbus and our 900 members would like to say thank you very much to the city and all of your collaboration you've provided throughout the year. We really appreciate that. Our 5-year aspirational plan is actually coming to an end this year, and with the city's support of that plan, Linda mentioned a few of the numbers, but we've been able to increase and leverage the private sector contributions to this plan and our organization as well. We're up 16% year to date. Together, we're actually protecting long-term business, such as OFA, and outwinning new business, such as the Girl Scouts of USA, 31 Gifts, Association for Middle-Level Educators, and many, many more. One of our key initiatives that we've had is our Make It Columbus initiative, and that's basically where we partner with a lot of our local corporations, local civic leaders, and universities to bring groups to Columbus and events to Columbus instead of going to other cities. Make sure we have that hometown pride. And I have to say we've had tremendous success with this particular initiative. We've had over $100 million in economic impact since the inception. So that's very exciting. We're currently working on over 270 events that represent over 620,000 room nights between now and the year 2020. So we are building Columbus's national profile and our region's economy. Some of the new investments we'll have for 2014 is that we're going to engage in a collaborative image campaign in Chicago and Washington, D.C. We're also adding an additional salesperson to handle the accounts on the northeast portion of the United States. And we're going to increase visits to Columbus for meeting professionals and travel writers from all over the U.S. Our industry, as you know, represents $7.8 billion in spend to local attractions and businesses. It also represents over 61,000 jobs, which is about 10% of the jobs in Franklin County. We know this sector is poised to grow and look forward to accomplishing that over the next few years. Basically, our plan will bring more fans to our sports teams, enthusiasts to the arts, foodies to our restaurants, families to our world-class attractions, and customers to shop in our unique neighborhoods. I want to make sure we thank you for your support and leadership in investing in this plan to compete. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian, for coming down and certainly sharing the success of Experience Columbus and sharing what we should look forward to as we continue to move forward through the year 2020. So thank you. Any questions for Mr. Ross? Thank you. Congrats.
Thank you.
Tom Katzenmeyer, representing the Greater Columbus Arts Council. Good evening.
Thank you, members of council, Madam Chair. My name is Tom Katzenmeyer. I am president of the Greater Columbus Arts Council. Thank you for your critical support. In 2013, through a variety of grant programs, GCAC used this funding to support 64 arts organizations and more than 130 individual artists. Grants funded by the bed tax support our community's larger arts organizations like the Columbus Museum of Art, Kappa, Jazz Arts Group, Pro Musica, but also mid-sized and smaller organizations like Columbus Children's Theater, the Harmony Project, Columbus Gay Men's Chorus, Roy G. Biv Gallery, and emerging organizations like the Short North Stage at the Garden Theater. Just as importantly, GCAC funding supports individual artists through fellowship programs, professional development funding, and supply grants. Funding from the city has an effect at many levels, and economic impact is obviously one of them. A study released last year by Americans for the Arts estimated that Central Ohio nonprofit arts and cultural community generates $226 million in economic activity and supports 8,500 jobs. If you add the for-profit creative sector into that, a Columbus College of Art and Design survey indicated that Columbus is a creative sector powerhouse with $3 billion plus in annual receipts and 25,000 jobs. The national government just last week recognized the impact of the arts and culture sector as well, for the first time tallying its contribution to the gross domestic product. It comes in at $500 billion, or 3%. Nationally now, that's more than the tourism sector. So Brian Ross and I will be arm wrestling over that new statistic in a little bit later this evening. Based on an analysis of the GCAC operating and project support recipients, $29.42 was pumped back into the local economy for each dollar of city funding received. Again, that was $29.42 for each dollar of city funding received. This additional money comes from county, state, federal government dollars and contributed and earned income. In total, the 58 organizations funded by GCAC in 2012 contributed nearly $80 million to the local economy. And the sector is only getting stronger. In analyzing data from 2009 to 2012, we have found that in addition to making efficiencies to strengthen their business processes, Columbus's 23 operating support organizations increased attendance by 18.7% and earned revenue by 18%. So attendance is up from 2009, 18.7%, earned revenue up by 18%, expenses basically flat. And as you know, beyond its economic... I'm done. Can I finish that sentence? Okay, thank you. I have one more sentence. Beyond its economic impact, our arts and cultural community as a driver of tourism and convention business helps attract and retain an outstanding workforce, transforms our neighborhoods, and broadens our diversity and shared experiences. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Councilman Paley has a question.
It's not really a question. It's a desire for you to express some of the new things that the Harmony Project, not the Harmony Project, but the GCAC is doing. I know that we just passed a new grant for GCAC, and I am really happy to hear those statistics, because I know that when I first started on council, one of the biggest issues was filling seats. And I know that the art community has worked really hard to do that, and it's nice to hear that it's finally happening. But if you may want to tell the viewing public and the people that are here tonight some of the new and exciting things at GCAC in order to maybe promote more economic development, I would appreciate that.
Thank you very much for your question and observation, Councilwoman Paley. So I'll mention two things. The first is the brand new Community Impact Program, which was passed by council a couple weeks ago. We just signed the contract for that this week, actually. So it'll be up and running. We'll be able to accept applications now for those grants. It's a $100,000 grant program. It's targeted at 5 neighborhoods, which include Franklinton, South Side, Wyland Park, Near East Side, King Lincoln, and the King Lincoln District. And the goal here is really to fund some arts and culture-related projects that will bring traffic into those neighborhoods, traffic and create a buzz in those neighborhoods. So it could be things like art galleries, festivals, street fairs, performance instruction by folks. So really, we hope that it will be a spark, a catalyst in those neighborhoods that you've targeted. So that's number one. The second thing that I would mention, given the opportunity, is Power to Give, which is something that we launched on October 17th, and it's a matching program. It's a Kickstarter-like program. Any nonprofit in Franklin County, this covers the entire county with this particular program, can apply and post a project as long as it's arts and culture related. The maximum is a $10,000 project. We have, I think, 36 projects posted out there. We've had 7 that have been fully funded, which we're very excited about, and we have raised dollar-for-dollar match money for that, and the city has contributed through GCAC some money too. So there's a number of projects that have already been funded. The Capitol Pride Band was the first project that got fully funded. They were looking for money to buy new instruments. So we're very excited about that. That's going to be an ongoing program. There'll be projects posted all year long that individuals can give to. So it's pretty exciting.
So just to make sure that everybody understands what Power to Give is, so you're saying approximately just out of, how many projects did you say you had?
37.
So you had 37 projects that individual folks are out there donating to the culture and economics of the city through Power to Give. This is not our money necessarily, although we have contributed some of it, but this is bringing new money into arts and culture.
That's correct. So if an individual saw a project on the site, and again, it's powertogive.org/Franklin County, you could give $5, $10, $25, and we'll match it. So an organization trying to raise $10,000 really needs to just raise $5,000, and we'll match it as each gift is given. So,
Thank you, Tom. I'm just real pleased, as Councilman Paley just mentioned, as working on the arts for a long time, and certainly wanting to make sure that we had more individuals to be able to appreciate the arts, to be able to hear that the numbers are up 18.7%, and I'm sure that with the work that GCAC's been doing, but also I want to, I think that the work that probably PNC with Arts Alive has been, because it's been a public-private partnership. I mean, that was a goal of theirs, to ensure that diverse groups of people would come together and to be able to be involved in the arts. And so I'm hopeful the numbers that are going up, based upon the work the GCA is doing, the private sector is doing, and as well as just being more creative in the arts, getting people to get involved. So I appreciate that. And as well as, I think for me, being the finance chair also, it's a great investment. For every dollar that is spent, we're receiving $29.42. That's an amazing return for our city. So I thank you for what you're doing to make sure that everyone in the community has an opportunity to be able to appreciate the arts. And I would also state that you just mentioned that the comment for Mr. Ross said a lot of the hotel rooms are filled and people are going to our restaurants because of the arts community, the roles that they play to have great art exhibits that bring people into this community. For example, Franklin Park Conservatory and others, I don't want to just say and others, but so there's many others that we're supporting. So thank you for being here and the work that you're doing.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Councilmember Craig.
Thank you very much, Chair Tyson. Tom, I also wanted to acknowledge your work, and certainly, Brian, we appreciate this healthy competition. This is so welcoming. Certainly, there, as Chair Tyson and Ms. Paley has said, the economic impact is enormous. But certainly, as we look at the cultural impact to the creative community, far exceeds our efforts in bricks and mortars. And I'm very proud of what we're doing around our building in our city. But I think this helps us to envision growth and encourage young people to stay in our city and others, and those of us that are senior young people. It certainly builds a lot of opportunity for all of us. I take my grandchildren to all kinds of events, and it's a wonderful place to be, our city of Columbus. So thank you for all that you both are doing and others to enrich our city.
Thank you. We appreciate your support.
Thank you so much, Tom. The next speaker is Ms. Winnie Taylor, representing the Columbus Neighborhood Health Centers. Good evening, Ms. Taylor.
It is my pleasure to give you a reality glimpse into your financial contributions to Columbus Neighborhood Health Center from a patient's experience and perspective. For over 10 years, CNHC has been my primary health care provider. I've been a patient at 3 different centers. Approximately a year ago, I woke up in the middle of the night with violent dizziness. I was taken to Mount Carmel East. They diagnosed vertigo, questioned me, and released me. I called East Central, explained my situation. They gave me a same-day appointment. Dr. Khan examined, questioned me, sent me back to Mount Carmel for an MRA. He was not quite comfortable. 2 days later, he called me at 8:30 in the morning and gave me the news. I had an aneurysm. I needed to go to OSU North. They were expecting me and prepared. I'm here today to share this information with you, in great part due to the effectiveness of what I call my wellness team. It began with the appointment scheduler, who recognized the serious situation. Then the front desk, who was sensitive to my condition, they took me into the doctor immediately. The nursing assistant took my vitals, informed the doctor immediately. Dr. Khan, who upon examining me saw something not normal. Mine is one of many success factors. How do I know? While waiting in the waiting room, many of us speak fondly of our doctors. Between you and me, I know mine is the best. Thank you for your time, your attention, and your great contribution in helping us to provide quality, affordable health care at CNHC. God bless you.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor, for coming down and sharing your testimony about the Columbus Neighborhood Health Centers. And they're just for residents just like you. And so we're so glad that you have great doctors that were able to, they obviously saw a health problem with an aneurysm, didn't know what was that, but sent you on to OSU, and you'll be able to stand here today and share your testimony. So thank you so much for coming down. And the next speaker will be Tom Horan, who is the president and CEO of the Columbus Neighborhood Health Centers. Good evening, Tom.
Good evening, Finance Committee Chair Tyson, Council Members Paley and Craig. My name is Tom Horn, and I'm pleased to be able to speak tonight regarding Columbus Neighborhood Health Center. I don't know how I can beat what Winnie just said, but I'll give it a shot. On behalf of our staff, the Board of Directors, and nearly 30,000 local residents that we serve each year, I extend our gratitude for the city's unwavering support and commitment to community health centers. 2013 marks an important milestone in community health. 40 years ago, Neighborhood House, Columbus's first community health center, opened its doors. Other centers followed, all which had the same mission, to provide high-quality health care to individuals right in their neighborhoods. We also celebrate this year 15-year anniversary of Columbus Neighborhood Health Centers, which was incorporated in 1998 to bring all of the independent community health centers together in one organization. As we reflect on these anniversaries, we take pride in the fact that the City of Columbus and Columbus Public Health have been with us every step of the way, through financial operational support from the very beginning, to bricks and mortar in the beautiful health centers that have been built on the east side, the west side, and just recently opened up John Maloney Southside Health Center. And then through the partnerships that we have with Columbus Public Health, the city has been steadfast in ensuring health care is available to Columbus residents. While it is important to reflect on what we have accomplished in the past, we must forge ahead and build for the future. This is a time of opportunity and uncertainty in health care. The Affordable Health Care Act presents what appears to be opportunity for many to be able to access health, and yet there are still many unanswered questions. We continue to navigate the challenging and changing tides of healthcare, but it is clear that it will be some time before many of the questions will be answered. In the meantime, is it essential that we continue to provide the same level of high-quality services to those in need while the politics of healthcare is sorted out? It is for this and for many other reasons that the city's support of CNHC is so critical. The $5 million allocated to CNHC in the 2014 budget represents about a quarter of our budget. Without these dollars, we would face enormous challenges in providing health care and services to more than 15,000 patients who come to us without insurance. We would likely be forced to turn some of them away. We anticipate that in time, the Affordable Care Act and the expanded Medicaid in Ohio will bring relief to many. We are mindful, however, that this will not reach everyone. There are still people who fall in the gap between being eligible for Medicaid and not having enough money to purchase insurance on their own. The Act will also not cover undocumented individuals, many of whom seek care at CNHC. Without insurance and limited resources, they have nowhere else to turn for health care, and we do not turn these folks away. It is because the Affordable Care Act will not reach all of the persons we see and does not address critical services for dental and vision that the support of the City of Columbus is so essential. Without your support, we would be unable to live up to our commitment of quality health care for all. With your support, the people of Columbus continue to have high-quality health care in their neighborhoods. Thank you for remaining steadfast in your support of community health centers and for your support of CNHC in 2014.
Thank you, Tom, for coming down and giving this testimony, and certainly appreciate the partnership between Columbus Public Health and the Columbus Neighborhood Health Centers, and just really appreciate the work that you do to ensure that everyone has an opportunity to have great health care. So we appreciate you being a partner, and we know that this $5 million investment is certainly a worthwhile one. So thank you.
Thank you.
Any comments? Nope. Thank you for being here this evening. Our next speaker is Ms. Kiana Williams. And after Ms. Williams will be Ms. Elfie DeBella, and then Mr. Christopher Keller.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Council members Tyson, Craig, and Paley. Thank you so much for the opportunity to bring remarks tonight on behalf of Hands On Central Ohio. I am Kiana Williams, and I'm a board member of the organization. I'd like to express my gratitude to the administration for our current funding, which is approximately $200,000 and allows us to operate the 211 call center and provide phone-based case management and resource referral, as well as provide access to emergency food through our food line. These services are critical points of access for food pantry and other emergency services, helping nearly 400,000 people each year. Additionally, we are grateful to have been selected to participate in the Human Service Pilot. Those resources are enabling us to strategically leverage new technologies to grow access at lower cost. Long-term projections are a savings of up to $100,000 per year to deliver current level of service. What began more than 30 years ago as a small group of volunteers taking calls and directing callers on where to get help has evolved into an organization with the mission of strengthening and enhancing the quality of life in Central Ohio by mobilizing volunteers and connecting people to critical community resources. As you well know, Hands On Central Ohio is central to the human service system. We serve as the primary point of access to ensure those who need services receive them in a timely and efficient manner. As the demand continues to increase at local food pantries, so does demand for our services. Current year demand on our services is up as much as 20% versus a year ago. Funding critical services like the local food pantry system must include commensurate funding for access to food vis-a-vis our food line in order to ensure resources go to targeted populations. Again, I am grateful for the opportunity to speak on behalf of Ernest Perry, CEO of Hands On Central Ohio, the staff, volunteers, and the hundreds of thousands of Central Ohio individuals and families who are helped by the work of our organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Kiana, for coming down and representing Hands On, and certainly we understand the importance of that 211 line, and just appreciate you and your board, and our thoughts and prayers go to Mr. Perry and the passing of his, I think his father,
It is,
correct?
yes,
And the passing
thank
of
you.
his father. So thank you for coming down and representing him. Any questions? And representing the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Elfie DeBella. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm Elfie DeBella, President and CEO of the YWCA Columbus. And on behalf of the people we serve, our staff and our board members, I thank you for the opportunity, Madam Chair, council members, to speak about your support of the important work we do for this community. YWCA Columbus is dedicated to eliminating racism and empowering women, and for over 127 years, our YWCA has been providing programming and services that address critical needs in this community in the areas of housing, childcare, women leadership, and equality and racial justice. YWCA Columbus has been fortunate to have been a recipient of City of Columbus funding that supports childcare and youth programs for homeless children in our YWCA Family Center. Funds are designated for our Family Center Safe and Sound Childcare Program for kids 6 weeks to 5 years old to help them with developmental skills such as language arts and fine and gross motor skills, and for our Family Center After-School Childcare Program to increase learning opportunities while their parents search for housing and for employment. Again, we're very thankful for this support that sustains educational opportunities for our homeless children. Over the past 3 years, we have seen a 70% increase in homeless families at the Family Center. The YWCA Family Center is recognized as a national model and provides emergency shelter and critical services to stabilize homeless families in Central Ohio. In the last 6 months, we have been serving 120 to 140 homeless families in the shelter that is built to accommodate 50 families. This means that every available space in our center has a cot or mattress for sleeping, and we still have to use temporary additional sites for housing more families. While no one knows what is causing this escalating crisis, we do know a few things. We do know that the average income for our clients is $5,000 a year. To afford a fair market value apartment, a person earning minimum wage would have to work 77 hours a week, every week of the year. Given that 70% of our families are headed up by single moms, you can see how it would be difficult to stabilize in this situation. The Community Shelter Board published a report this fall indicating that over 30% of our families had accessed shelter services before. There's little doubt that subsidized housing would save many families from the trauma of returning to a shelter because they couldn't find a job to pay for fair market value housing. We as a community need to focus on providing resources for prevention programs and equally, if not more important, on finding and creating more affordable housing, subsidized affordable housing. In the meantime, we are so appreciative of all of those who support us and our homeless families through this crisis. And of course, I'm once again so thankful for your past support and hope for your continued support, which is so critical in strengthening our families, our children, and our community. Thank you.
Elfie, thank you for coming down. Certainly appreciate the work that you're doing with our the child care and the youth programs, and certainly working with our children through Safe and Sound, and also being such an advocate to continue to share with us the issues that are going on with the YWCA Family Center. It is difficult, I know, with a 70% increase and having, you said, between 120 and 100 families in a facility that only should be having about 50 families. And so we are listening to that, and I know you've talked with Deputy Chief of Staff, Christy Angel. We've had this conversation as to what would we need to do in terms of dealing with this as a community. I certainly am supportive of the issue. We've talked about we need to have true affordable housing. If individuals making $5,000 a year, they certainly cannot pay market rate rent. So we're listening, and we've got to figure out how to deal with that issue. But again, I want to say thank you for coming down, being in support of this budget, but also thank you for the work that you do each and every day to work on equality, child care, housing, and just working with our homeless, especially homeless women that are within your facility. So thank you. Any questions or comments for Mr. Bello? Thank you.
Thank you for your support.
Our final speaker for this evening is Mr. Christopher Keller. Good evening, Mr. Keller.
Good evening. Chairwoman Tyson, Councilwoman Paley, Councilman Craig. I'm Christopher Keller. I'm currently the District 8 representative for the Clintonville Area Commission. I've got a graphic on a JPEG file. Is that something that I could hand to somebody to show, or is that not possible? I mean, it's not 100% necessary, but it would help my presentation.
Let's see, is it within a 3-minute time frame? Or is it
Oh,
longer?
yeah. No, this is just a picture.
Oh, just a picture, okay. We can probably, let's just,
Sorry, it's a little.
that's okay.
Okay.
We'll just hold the clock for just a few minutes.
Okay. And it can come on any time, so.
Okay.
Shortly after I was elected to my commission seat 2 years ago, I got a phone call from a resident complaining of rats in the neighborhood. And about a month after that, I got another phone call, and then people found out that I was taking phone calls about rats, and I got many phone calls about it coming from our neighborhood. So we set up an online map and asked people who saw rats or caught a rat or killed a rat in the neighborhood to post it to a Google map, and that's what you're seeing there in the Clintonville area. Since last summer, all of the sightings of rats in our neighborhood. The Clintonville Commission voted to petition the city for help from the Department of Health and looking at that problem and doing a survey to see how severe the problem was. We thought we had a problem. We didn't know how bad it was. We just heard today from the Department of Health that they've completed that survey and found that 34% of the residences surveyed had indication of rat infestation. The national guidelines say that if more than 2% of the residences have rat infestation, that creates a health hazard. So we're concerned about that. We do recognize that the mayor has asked City Council to budget $150,000 for rodent amelioration for this next year, but that only will pay for 2 city employees, and that's half the budget that was in effect in 2009 before that budget was cut. And I'm here to request that figure be reconsidered and at least bring it back up to the level where it was in 2009, maybe a little bit for inflation. So if 300,000 would be a much better figure. And we're talking about 2 people. Just in the area of Clintonville, that's over 5,000 homes that are being affected. And if you translate that to the rest of the city, we're looking at maybe 100,000 homes that may have rat infestation. We know that can be a health hazard. They are vectors for many diseases and also cause structural damage and also increase the risk of fires because they chew through wires and other things like that. So I thank you for your time, and I'm willing to answer any questions you may have.
Well, Mr. Keller, thank you for coming down, and certainly, one, being in support of the $150,000 that's in the administration's budget, and certainly based upon this new information, we will take that into consideration as we look to finalize the budget for 2014. I know Dr. Long is here, and we have not seen that report yet since it just came out, but we certainly will take all this information into consideration for the 2014 budget, because we certainly don't want rats. People think that we want rats in people's neighborhoods, but we also need to make sure there's a lot of parts to this. I know there's an educational component, so that rats aren't not within the community. So there's a lot of parts that we need to be working on, and want to work with Dr. Long and the administration to figure out what's the best strategy for us as we move forward to deal with this issue. So thank you for coming down and sharing your testimony, and we will take this into consideration in our deliberations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And with that, I am going to say thank you to for each of the directors and deputy directors that have come down to this evening. We certainly do appreciate the public comment that we have received from each of the individuals that have come down to share their thoughts on the proposed administration 2014's budget. We plan to release an amended budget in mid-January, and we will then allow additional public comment on any amendments that we may propose. Our next hearing date, should there be more money for us to be able to amend the budget, will be January 30th of 2014. That's a Thursday at 5 p.m. And then February 3rd is when we would anticipate having a budget ordinance, and it will be tabled and then amended on February the 10th, and the plans would be to pass the 2014 budget on February 10th of 2014. If there are any individuals who are viewing this hearing and want to share input on this budget, feel free to contact my office at 645-2933, or you also can visit us at our website, which is www.columbuscitycouncil.org/Tyson, or you can call any of the other members' offices also, and they will also pass on the information to our office. So again, I want to thank the administration. I want to thank Paul, who's a joy to work with, Paul Rakowski and the staff of the Department of Finance and Management, each of the directors, again, who are here and who have worked to worked hard to present this budget to us. I want to thank Hosanna and Carl from my office, obviously CTV, the wonderful staff of CTV, each of my council members, and Councilman Craig and Councilman Paley for joining me tonight, but all the council members who are working hard on this 2014 budget. And again, to all the citizens in this city who we work for each and every day. We work for you, and wanted to say thank you for allowing us to serve you, and also making Columbus one of the best places in the country to live, work, play, and to raise a family. And with that, I'm going to say happy holidays, happy New Year, and we look forward to seeing you in January. Thank you. Good night.